So in the previous lecture, we are seeing about the current in an inductor, how the current will be changes, increasing and decreasing of the current and inductor. Okay, so and coming to the next one is series and parallel combination of inductors. Okay, so in the previous we are also seeing resistors. When the resistors are connected in series and when the resistors are connected in parallel, what is the equivalent resistance? Similarly, capacitors. When the capacitors are connected in series, and what is the equivalent capacitance value? And similarly, parallel capacitance value. Okay. So coming to the for the inductors also. So we have uh, a representation of series and parallel combination. Okay, and series connection of inductors and parallel connection of inductors. And before that we have one representation, that is dot convention. Dot convention. So this dot will be represents the generation of the flux. This dot. So this is the one coil. If we consider the first figure, so in the first figure we have a coil. Okay, and for that coil, the current I1 is flowing by the application of the voltage V1. Okay, and another coil is connected with the coil 1. So there is a mutual inductance between these two coils, and also from the second coil also again we have a current of I2. This current is also flowing through this coil, and due to that the EMF will be induced in the first coil. Similarly, by the current flowing through the first coil, the V2 will be induced in the second coil. So like this we have mutual inductance and induced EMF. Due to I1, V2 will be generates. Due to I2, V1 will be generates. So we have to find out we will obtain the equations for the generated EMF voltages V1 and V2. So V1 is equals to L into di1 by dt. So V1 is corresponds to L1 into di1 by dt plus M into di2 by dt. M is the mutual inductance between two coils. Similarly V2 is equals to L2 into, this is L2. L2 is the inductance of the second coil. L2 into di2 by dt plus M into di1 by dt. So here you can observe that there is a dots will be there at the coils. At the starting of the coil we have dot. So this particular representation indicates the dot representation. It means it shows the generation of the flux or the current is flowing through this path. So here the two dots are at the top side, okay, and are the same side. Similarly, for this figure also we have dots at the downside. Okay, so it indicates the flux producing. Okay, and also it shows the flux ending also. So both the representation it will be shows. Okay, and coming to here in the second case the dots will be, one is upper side and the dot on the for the second coil is downside. So it is just opposite to and cross type of the representation. Okay, in such situation the mutual inductance will be becomes as negative. So for this V1 is equals to L1 into di1 by dt, that is the voltage drop across the coil or inductor, that is L1 into di1 by dt minus M into di2 by dt. So here the minus indicates the generation of the flux. For the first flux it is opposing. Okay, so that is due to the first current I1, the flux will be generated, and due to that, the voltage will be induced in the this second coil. Okay, and due to the current of I2, and there is a dot representation, it means it is reverse. Okay, and due to that, it will be produces second flux. That flux will be opposes the first flux, first generated flux. It means the total flux generation will be reduces. It is opposing. Okay, um, flux opposing. So that's why we will get the negative sign here. So in the previous case, in this case, the flux will be aiding. The generation of the flux will be increases. Okay. And see here inductances of coupled coils. So series aiding connection, series opposition connection. So here this is the one coil and its inductance value is L1, and this is the second coil and its inductance value is L2. So here the dots is at starting of the coil. Okay. So the generation of the flux with this combination will be increases. Okay. So that's why the equivalent inductance value is equals to L1 plus L2 plus 2M. M is the mutual inductance between these two coils. Here in the same the dots is at the end of the coil. Here also, in this case also, the flux generated flux will be aided. It means increases. So that's why L1 plus L2 plus 2M, whereas M is the mutual inductance between the two coils. So this is a series aiding connection. So by this series aiding connection, the flux will be added. Mutual inductance will be added by 2 times. Okay. And coming to the next one, series opposition connection. So in this case, the dots will, you can observe that one dot is at starting of the coil and another dot is at the end of the coil. Okay. So in such situation, there is a opposition of the flux. So generation of the flux will be opposed by the second flux. The first flux generation of the first flux is opposed by the generation of the second flux. Okay, that's why we will get the minus sign. So L equivalent is equals to L1 plus L2 minus 2M. So there are like this we can have series aiding connection and series opposition connection based upon the dot convention. Similarly, we have parallel inductances, inductors are connected in parallel. So in this also we have parallel additive coupled and parallel differentially coupled. Okay. So in this case, here the two coils are connected in parallel, and you can observe the dot representation here. So the same starting point of the each coils it is there, and for that the equivalent inductance value is equals to L1 into L2 minus M square by L1 plus L2 minus 2M. Similarly, parallel differentially coupled. So here the opposite of the dot representation. So with this, the flux will be varies. Okay. So for that we have L1 L2 minus M square by L1 plus L2 plus 2M. Okay. So like this we can have different representations of the series and parallel combination of inductances. One is series aiding and series opposing. Okay. So like this we can get the output, or we can get the equivalent inductance values. Okay. So with this we are completed the first unit. So with these concepts we are completed the first unit. So I think you have to write the mid exam, I think. So how the diode is used for the different types of applications in electronics field. in the electronics field, we will use the electronic circuits. For all the types of the electronic circuits, we can use the diodes. Okay. So for suppose we can consider a rectifier, that is a charger.
కావాలంటమ్మా 60 తెచ్చాను మనకి దాడికి ఇస్తాను ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ
Okay, so if you consider a charger, so in that also we can use the diodes. So it will be acts as a it will be acts as open circuit and closed circuit. So when we connect the voltage source, so it is one of the basic element in electronic circuitry for any type of the electronic circuit. So before that, we have to find out what are the construction details of a diode. What are the construction details of the diode? What are the different types of materials are used for the construction of the diodes? So for that, we have to understand the energy band theory of solids. So for this solids or materials, we can consider solid materials. We can consider three types. All of you know that the insulator, conductors, and third one is the semiconductors. Conductors, insulators, and semiconductors. Like this, we can classify the materials, that is solid type of the materials. Okay, and before that, we already that the basics of the this atomic structure. So what are the main components of the atomic structure? So what are the main components we can observe in a molecule? Okay, so that is we can observe that the basic particles, you can observe that electron, proton, and neutrons. Okay, so generally neutrons and protons are present at the nucleus, and the electrons will be moves or places in the orbits or shells. We can call them as a shells. So I think you know this in your basic 10+1 classes. Okay, so the electrons will be placed in different orbits. Okay, so like that we have different shells are there. Orbits or shells, both are same. Okay, so outermost shells, the electrons which are present in the outermost shell or orbit will be considered as valence shell, and the electrons are considered as valence electrons. The outermost shell will be called as valence shell, and the electrons which are present in the outermost or valence shell is called as valence electrons. So generally there is a procedure how the electrons will be present in a molecule. Okay, so there are first innermost orbit there are 2 electrons, and after that it is 8 electrons. Like that we have certain sequence. Okay, according to that the placement of these electrons will be present in the given molecules. Okay, so suppose if each orbit has certain energy levels, generally in the nucleus we will have neutrons and protons, and these are protons are positive charged carriers. Okay, and neutrons are, there is no electrically neutral carriers or neutral elements. Okay, whereas electrons are negative charged carriers or negative charged elements. Okay, so here the electrons will be placed at different positions or different orbits, and each orbit will be considered as having certain energy level. Okay, so this energy level will be increases energy level will be increases when we move from innermost orbit to the outermost orbit. Okay, so the electrons which are near to the nucleus are tightly bound with the nucleus. Okay, So for removing the electron from the nearby the nucleus, we have to remove the electron from the nearby the nucleus. We have to put more amount of energy. Okay, so suppose we have to remove from electron from the outermost shell or outermost orbit. So for that, we have to put less energy, because the electrons which are in the valence band or valence shell are lightly coupled with the nucleus, or lightly bonded. So there is a attraction force between the electrons and the protons. Protons are present in the nucleus, and due to that it is a positive charge. Okay, there is electrons are negative charge. So the electrons which are near to this nucleus, they will be has a attractive force will be more. When the shell moving from lower shell to higher shell, there is a attractive force will be decreases. Due to that, we can easily remove the electrons in the outer orbit. Okay, so generally there are three types of materials. I mean, that is conductors, insulators, and semiconductors. Okay, so the valence for conductors, we have the electrons which are free. I mean, so there are free electrons will be more. So that's why at the room temperature also they have to conduct easily. So electrically conduct easily. So whereas for insulators, uh, there is no free electrons to move. Okay, there is a uh, there is no free electrons. That's why the insulators are electrically not conductive. And in between these two, that is conductors and inductors, there is another type of the materials. Those are nothing but the semiconductive materials. So generally, the fourth group elements, I think you know the table. Okay, so fourth group elements considered as semiconductor materials. So generally, you can see silicon and germanium. Silicon and germanium are called as semiconductor materials. Okay, so these are in the room temperature at 0 degrees Celsius. These semiconductors are also acts as insulators. When we apply some thermal energy, suppose we have to apply some heat energy to this semiconductor materials, then the outermost electrons which are present in the valence shell, those electrons will be moved to upper band or upper orbit, and then we can get the free electrons to conduct. Okay, so that's why at 0 degrees Celsius, the semiconductor materials are acts as insulators. After applying certain temperature, that is at room temperature, so they will be produces some electrons to conduct. Okay, and we have certain type of materials. Those are trivalent materials and pentavalent materials. The group 4 elements are called as tetravalent elements. The group 4 elements are called as tetravalent elements, and group 3 elements are called as trivalent elements, and group 5 elements are called as pentavalent elements. So here, if you consider the semiconductor materials, silicon and germanium, so here we are saying that we are grouping the materials based upon the electrons which are present in the outer shell of the molecule. In the silicon and germanium, if you observe that there are 4 electrons will be there. 4 electrons will be present in their valence band. If you consider the trivalent elements like boron and gallium, okay, for these materials, in their outer shell, there are 3 electrons will be there. And similarly, for the coming to pentavalent elements, for these elements, phosphorus and arsenic, antimony. Okay, for these materials, outermost orbit having 5 electrons. 5 electrons will be present at their outer shell. Generally, we can call outer shell is or extreme shell is called as a valence shell. Okay, valence shell or valence orbit. Okay, the electrons which are having in the outermost orbit, based upon that, the elements will be present in the periodic table. Okay, so in the fourth group we have tetravalent. So these are tetravalent elements. Those are called as semiconductor metals. Okay, so this is the semiconductor materials, that is germanium and silicon. So if you observe the atomic structure of the silicon and germanium, so the atomic number, I think you know that. So silicon is 14 and germanium it is 32. So if you consider the placement of the electrons, okay, inner shell, okay, coming to outer shell, we have 4 electrons at their outer shell. So this particular band or orbit will be called as valence shell, and the electrons are called as valence electrons. So there are 4 electrons in their valence orbit. Similarly, for the germanium atom, also, we have 4 electrons at their outer orbit. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. So these are considered when these are pure semiconductors. So pure semiconductors are nothing but considered as intrinsic semiconductors. Intrinsic semiconductors. So there are 2 types of the semiconductors. One is intrinsic semiconductors and extrinsic semiconductors. Intrinsic semiconductors and extrinsic semiconductors. So intrinsic semiconductors are considered as a pure semiconductors. So in that particular material, the purity of that particular type of the silicon is very high. There is no impurities. So if you can add some other type of the materials to this particular pure semiconductors or intrinsic semiconductors, it will becomes as extrinsic semiconductor. There are some chemical processes will be there. That is, by that process, we can add some impurities to the silicon and germanium. Okay, by that their characteristics will be changes. By that we can produce the extrinsic semiconductors. Based upon the type of the materials, group 3 and group 5 elements, what we have seen previously, based upon these type of the materials, by adding, they will become as a 2 types of semiconductors again. 2 types of extrinsic semiconductors. Those are N-type semiconductor and P-type semiconductors. Suppose you have this one, these are the pure semiconductors. You assume that these are pure semiconductors. And for these pure semiconductors, if we can add, okay, so using certain chemical process and the thermal process, if you can add these group 4 elements, that is trivalent elements, to the pure semiconductors, then there is a formation of the P-type of the semiconductor. P-type semiconductor. Suppose for few semiconductors, silicon and germanium, if you can add pentavalent elements, okay, so then it will become as N-type of semiconductor. There are 2 types of semiconductors: external semiconductors, extrinsic semiconductors, that is P-type semiconductor and N-type semiconductors. P-type semiconductors are formed by adding trivalent impurities to the pure or intrinsic semiconductors. By adding the trivalent impurities to the pure semiconductors, we will get P type of the extrinsic semiconductor. Similarly, if we can add pentavalent impurities, we can call them as impurities or elements to the pure or intrinsic semiconductor, then we will get N type of the intrinsic semiconductor. We are not mentioned every time it is a N type extrinsic semiconductor, because by adding the impurities to the intrinsic or pure semiconductors, we will get the extrinsic semiconductor. Okay, we don't mention every time it is a P type extrinsic semiconductor, N type extrinsic semiconductor. We can't mention like that. We will simply mention that it is N type semiconductor, P type semiconductor, N type semiconductor, or and P type semiconductor. Okay, so these are obtained by adding some impurities to the original or pure semiconductor. So adding of these impurities to the original pure semiconductors or intrinsic semiconductors is called as doping. Doping, DOPING. Okay, doping. So doping is the process of adding the impurities to the intrinsic semiconductor. The process of adding the impurities to the original or pure or intrinsic semiconductor is known as doping. The materials which are added are the impurities which are added to this particular process. Okay, doping process. So that is impurities what we are adding, and those are called as dopant. Dopant, DOPANT, dopant. Okay, so like this, we have doping process. So doping is the process of adding the impurities to the internal intrinsic semiconductors. Intrinsic semiconductors. That particular process is considered as doping. Okay, so here we are saying that if you consider there are number of shells. Okay, so this is the first shell, this is the second shell. Okay, each shell will represent one energy band. So energy band. So energy is each shell having electrons, and each electron has certain amount of electron energy. That is electron volts. We can call it as EV. Okay, so the combination of all those electrons will be represent one band, one band. So that is this is the, if you consider the figure, energy band diagram. So in this we have edge of the nucleus. Okay, and this is the first band. We can call it as the first band, second band. So these bands are represent the each orbit energy level. So here we have number of orbits, first orbit, second orbit, like that. So each orbit we have number of electrons. The number of electrons represents certain energy. Okay, so all the electrons represent combined representation of the energy level. So that particular energy will be represented as a band. Okay, so here this is the first band, second band, and this is the valence band. So valence band is nothing but the electrons which are present at the outermost orbit of the atom. Okay, or molecule. Okay, outermost shell. Okay, the electrons may be fully filled or partially filled. So that will be considered that may be present. Okay, so in the valence band, the electrons may be fully present or partially filled. Okay, so the outermost orbit will be considered as valence orbit, and the electrons which are present in that having certain energy, and that particular energy level will be represented as valence band. And above the valence band we have another one, that is conduction band. Conduction band, and between the conduction band and valence band we have a forbidden energy gap. Forbidden energy gap. Suppose we have applied some thermal energy to the this semiconductors, then the outermost electrons will be activated. Okay, and those electrons will be jump to the higher energy level or moves to the higher energy level. So here the outermost orbit is the valence band. Okay, the electrons which are present in the valence band, when we apply some thermal energy or some light energy, the electrons which are excited in the outer shell, and those electrons will be moved to the higher band. Here, higher band is nothing but the conduction band. So once the electrons will be reaches this conduction band, these electrons are free from the force of the nucleus. Once the electrons will move from the valence band to the conduction band due to some external energy in terms of thermal energy or light energy, okay, or some excitation, and due to that, the electrons will be moved from valence band to the conduction band. Once the electrons will move into the conduction band, those electrons are free from the attraction force of this nucleus. Attraction force of the nucleus, they are free, so they can move freely. Okay, and they can move like that anyway. Okay, randomly they can move, and due to that, the electrons will be randomly move. Okay, suppose there is no proper movement due to random fashion. There is no proper movement of the electrons, and due to that, we don't have any current. We don't have any current. So here this band diagram is also important one. Okay, so here we have in between valence band and conduction band, we have a forbidden energy gap. Okay, forbidden energy gap. So this forbidden energy gap, the electrons does not stand here. The electrons does not stand here or present here. They moves to the conduction band. Okay, so this is a forbidden energy band, or we can call as forbidden energy gap. Okay. So based upon this forbidden energy gap, also we can find out we can classify the materials like conductors and insulators and semiconductors. I will show you that. Yeah. So classification of materials based on energy band theory. So here we have conduction band, valence band. For the conductors, what is happening is, for the conductors, there is no forbidden gap, because conduction band and valence band both will be overlapped. The conduction band and valence band both will be overlapped, and that's why there is no forbidden gap. It means the difference, the gap between the valence band and the conduction band will be 0. And in addition to that, both the bands, conduction band and valence band, both will be overlapped to each other. That's why more number of electrons will be present for the conductors, readily to move. And coming to the insulators, there is a large amount of the forbidden gap between conduction band and valence band. There is a large amount of gap, and due to that, if suppose we are given some thermal energy or some external light energy, the electrons which are present in the valence band does not able to move to the conduction band, because there is a large gap will be there between the valence band and conduction band, and that gap is around 7 volts, 7 electron volts. So this energy will be represented in the joule. Generally, we can represent energy is in terms of joules. Joules. For this arbitrary or this atomic levels, energy levels, we can represent in terms of the electron volts, EV, small e, capital V, EV. Okay. So the gap between the conduction band and the valence band, for the insulators, it is around 7 electron volts. So coming to the semiconductors, it is in between both the conductor and insulator. So there is a small forbidden gap between the conduction band and valence band, and it is around 1 electron volt only, 1 electron volt. Okay, so whereas this insulator is very high. So for that purpose, when we can apply for the insulators, when we can apply some external excitation, that is in terms of thermal energy. Suppose we apply some heat energy to the insulators like wood or some plastics, okay, mica, okay, for these materials will apply some heat. They don't have any conductivity, so they will just burn because there is a large gap between these conduction bands, okay. They cannot withstand with the applied thermal energy. And here for the semiconductors, they will be have less forbidden gap energy, forbidden gap. So that's why if you apply a small amount of thermal energy, here thermal energy means heat energy we can apply. Okay, that is change of the room temperature. Suppose if you consider the room temperature is around 27 degrees Celsius. Is the 27 degrees Celsius from 0 degrees Celsius to 27 degrees Celsius variation. For that also there is a readily available electrons will be there. So at 0 degrees Celsius, there is no free electrons. Okay. For the if the temperature is increases, okay, and that is nothing but applying thermal energy to the material. That is room temperature. At room temperature, the materials will be having generates the free electrons, and those free electrons will be placed at the conduction band. Okay. So with this, I am stopping this today's class. If it is possible, I will also inform another class at by evening or night.